Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to What Women Want with Judy Goss, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in once again to What Women Want Talk Radio. I'm here with Kristin West, and we have yet another really exciting show for you. It's Living Your Messy Self. As Kristin says, it's conversation that feeds your mind and energizes your spirit. Kristin, we have Kelly McNelis, founder of Women for One, on this evening, whose book is just about to be released. Very exciting. And it's called Your Messy Brilliance. And I actually think this topic is brilliant because we really tend to shy away from the messy part of our lives sometimes, don't we?
I think we do. And I think we need to value our messiness more as just a part of accepting ourselves better.
Absolutely. And also, if we get too messy, we have Sue Basko coming on, and she is going to show us, she's an attorney, and she's worked in a lot of different aspects of the law, and she's going to show us if we get a little bit too messy, how to get out of it and how to stay out of it, right?
Right. Which it's always important to have a sage woman in your corner, and I'm looking forward to talking to Sue as well.
Yeah, totally. We got to grab her business info and stick it in our wallets.
Right.
Not that I'm planning on doing anything, but you could always have a lawyer at your side when you need one. Okay, I want to thank our listeners. We've been on for 3.5 years, and we've hit over 900,000 downloads. Yay! So if you haven't subscribed to us, maybe you should. Please do so on iTunes or visit our archives on LA Talk Radio's website, latalkradio.com. Okay, besides being one of the hosts of this awesome radio show, I am also a TV host, a regular contributor on NBC and Fox. I founded the company What Women Want Networking 6 years ago, and we have chapters all around the country. We just hosted our first national conference in Atlanta this past weekend. It was very exciting. It was the What Women Want Spirit of Women Keep Going conference. The theme was Keep Going, and what an amazing weekend. Oh my gosh. It was a combination of business development skills and, personal development, inspiration. And, I just can't say enough about the speakers and the sponsors and everyone who was there, because the women just seemed to learn so much from each other. Right, Kristin?
No, it's true. There was a really bright, happy, and open vibe the whole time. And everybody learned so much. And even in the littlest interactions, there was learning going on, which was amazing. And I was so happy to be part of it, too.
And thank you. And I appreciate you coming and supporting us. And I heard there was crying and dancing and a lot of different things going on. So it was definitely a spectacular women's conference. I'm very grateful. And Kelly McNelis actually was there too. She was holding a breakout workshop. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. I'm also a St. Martin's Press published author, a freelance writer for New York Lifestyles magazine, and the mom of twin girls who are now 13 years old. And Kristin, who you've just heard, my co-host, is an award-winning actress, screenwriter, and producer. Her film Seeking Valentina was nominated for 2 awards at this year's Hollywood Dreams Film Festival in Las Vegas. A script that she co-wrote, Likeness, was also nominated for a screenwriting award at this year's Fantastic Horror Film Festival, which I hear is coming up in a couple of weeks. And Kristin can also be seen in the upcoming films The Spirit Room, Hell's Kitty, and The Lich, which are all due out later this year. Okay, talk about getting messy. Every time I saw Kelly speak at the What Women Want conference this past weekend that I mentioned before, I've been thinking about all the messy in my life and how it defines me and what I can do with it. She tells us to embrace it. What do you think about that?
I think it's important. One of the things is that you can't always, change reality to reflect what you think you should be. You have to tackle a problem. You have to kind of accept what that problem is before you can change it, whether it's something very small or very big. And I think that's an important part of what Kelly is talking about. And I think a lot of women suffer from trying to be perfect or look perfect or act perfect or be the perfect mom, the perfect wife, the perfect whatever. And sometimes chasing that ideal doesn't always serve us the way we think it's going to.
That was well said. And you're right. I do think we get caught up in that because as much as I tell myself that I don't really care that I'm not like everyone else or that type of thing, I do catch myself trying to be what society defines as the perfect mom, the perfect wife, the perfect this, because unfortunately I'm a perfectionist. That goes with the territory. But we're going to have Kelly help us all figure it out. So I want to bring her on the line. She is the founder of Women for One, a place where women from 50 countries share their powerful stories with the world. She recently finished writing her first book, Your Messy Brilliance, 7 Tools for the Perfectly Imperfect Woman, due out this month through Enrealment Press. She finds daily inspiration in spending time with her husband and children in her home outside of Seattle. Welcome back to the show, Kelly.
Oh, thank you so much, Judy. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, congratulations on your new book. We're so honored to have you on the show right before that sucker hits #1 on the bestseller lists.
I'm really excited about it. Thank you. And it
was
my pleasure to be at the Spirit of Women conference this last weekend. What a group of kind and vulnerable women that were just wanting to be there to learn and grow.
Well, thank you for being such a huge supporter and a sponsor and a teacher and a mentor and everything. You really rounded out the conference in a beautiful way. So I'm very grateful for that. And I want to let you know that it is tradition that someone who comes out with a book being released on this show does hit the bestseller list. So you're not going to break that tradition that we have here at What Women Want Radio.
I did just hit #1 in midlife management on Amazon as I was flying home from Atlanta. So guess what? You're right.
All right. I love it. And you're going to continue. It's going to continue. So you got good luck going on here.
You.
Good vibes. Okay. So tell everyone listening about what you do and what Women for One is.
Well, I'm the founder of Women for One, like Judy said, and I have a website and an online digital community of women from all over the world, from all walks of life, all ages, all cultures, all different socioeconomic backgrounds. And what I created was a vehicle for women to come and share their stories and experiences so that they can feel less alone and more connected with one another. And also so they can learn from what has happened to them, release those stories to us, right, out into the world, and then really move forward in life, as we say at Women for One, to make life happen on their own terms. So really, I'm focused on women moving out of that victim circumstance and moving into empowerment.
And you definitely were a victim when you were younger. Tell us about that and what you went through. I'm sure it's still tough to talk about it. It probably doesn't matter how much time goes by, that you experienced this, but I'm sure it definitely really empowers women to also tell their story.
Yes, I believe, when I was writing the book, I kept, with the first publisher I had, he kept saying, you need to not talk about your story so much. And I thought, wait a minute, I have a community of women.
That's
where
what you're all about.
Them to find their voice, right? And so I just felt like I needed to share my story, which is not, it's very similar to many women, because 1 in 3 women have been sexually abused in their life. And I'm a survivor of incest. My father abused me when I was 4. And I've been through, a dysfunctional family with alcoholism and moving all the time. And the thing is, I'm not different from anyone else. I'm just not afraid anymore to tell the story because I feel like it frees me every time I really dive in and I learn a new lesson. And that's what I want to encourage women to do, to really have no shame and to move into that space of, hey, you know what? This happens to all of us, and it's okay because we've learned from it, and we can be stronger and more resilient because of our experiences.
And what age did you start kind of pivoting towards the realization that, you know what, I need to turn around and let my story out and really embrace, as you say, embraced your messiness, embraced, what was behind you? Really? I mean, embrace it. I thought about that word a lot today. I was reading your book and I was like, what am I supposed to do? Hug my issues here? Like, what's the deal?
Well, I'm hitting 50 next year. It's a big year, half a century. And I think it took me till my mid-30s to get there because, I was trying to live up to being the perfect mom, the perfect wife, the perfect friend, the perfect daughter, because I didn't have that when I was younger. So I thought, well, if I just try really, really hard and I look at TV and I watch, what's being fed to me, I can figure it out. And I was wrong because I feel like that perfection doesn't exist really in the world, Judy. And, I know Kristin talks about that too when you guys were talking at the beginning. Perfection doesn't exist. And if we try to live up to something that doesn't exist, we're never going to achieve it. How about we all start being more of ourselves, dive into and embrace, like you said, our messiness, and really show up as we are for the world and for ourselves, more importantly.
It's interesting because, sometimes we have to be satisfied with our messiness, even though we don't want to be. And I want to ask you, you have this phrase that I've seen throughout your writing and on your website, that messy is the new strong. Can you unpack that a little bit for us? Because I'm really curious about that.
Unpack that messy baggage.
I love that you brought that up because I have it on a sweatshirt, right? I sent that to you, Judy. Messy is the new strong because really, it is. I mean, how about we all as women in this Western world reject everything that's being fed to us from all, and I'm not going to go into male bashing. Actually, I love men and I think they're wonderful. But the male dominated society of like women have to look this way, act this way, and, we all have to be this perfection. How about we go, you know what? I want to take my bra off. I want to just take my heels off and I want to just be who I am, show up and see who else wants to show up with me. Because when we do that, we are stronger as women and as human beings on this planet. And, the world right now, as we all know, needs strong, messy is the new strong. It needs strong women to support the world.
I'm glad you brought up men because I love men too. And I think this idea of them not being allowed to be messy is impactful as well.
Agreed.
Because they actually did a study, and men who had perfectionistic tendencies had a much higher rate of suicide than men who did not. And is there a way that the men in our lives, whether it's our father, whether it's our brother, whether it's our husband, is there a way to create a family culture of messiness? Is there a way to allow that for them and even our kids as well?
I'm dealing with that right now. I mean, I'm a mother of 3 and a stepmom to 3 more. So we have all different personalities. And my husband is like Judy said, he's a perfectionist, right? He's an overachiever. And so I think men really have more of an expectation to get it right and be perfect and shove their feelings down more than even women, right, Kristin? So we really need to allow them to have their feelings, allow them to move into that masculine nature, right? And really be who they are more as well as strong women that can embrace our emotions a little easier usually. I mean, really, women can just embrace and feel their feelings. And so, I've been actually dealing with that with my children right now, my boys. I want them to not shove their feelings down because it comes out in much more dramatic ways with men when they shove things down, like you talked about.
I'm actually leafing through the book right now. I am one of the lucky ones that got a pre-ordered copy, and I'm just thrilled to death with it. I feel like it's less, and your workshop was like this too, the way you teach, is that you are talking less at us than you are with us, and you're feeling with us and teaching us. But I feel like, you never kind of spoke at us or told us what to do type of thing. And I happen to know that a few women broke down in your workshop too. So that's pretty good. They're getting all their feelings out and emotions. And that in your book, you mentioned is part of it too, going deep, getting really messy. So you have your chapters start with awareness and intuition and you have all these different levels that you want us to go through. I'm curious why, that's no pun intended, why you started out with curiosity as the first one.
Okay, so I love my first tool in the book, just to clarify, 7 tools for the perfectly imperfect woman, is curiosity. Because first of all, I've been curious since I was a little child. Curiosity and that beauty and that wisdom and that wonder of that child that, not self-conscious and can be as messy as they want to be. Because the term messy can be, in the workshop, I asked the women, some people think of messiness as chaos. Some people think of messiness as a messy purse. I'm talking about just allowing for yourself to be free and to get as messy as you need to figure out your life. Well, that curiosity place, you can dive into it and ask any question you want. And when you're dealing with a situation, whether it's an issue with a friend, a relationship that you're dealing with where there's a conflict, or a greater life issue like, what do I want to do with my life? You can apply these tools, but you have to start with curiosity. You have to start with asking the right questions, like a best friend would, Judy, right? Like if you're sitting with a best friend, you're on the bathroom floor crying, and you call your best friend. What are they going to do? Well, how do you feel about that? The first thing they're going to do is get curious if they're going to support you. So I think that's where that came from, if that makes sense.
I think you speak to something important, is that we are so focused, especially when you have that perfectionistic mindset and you have the benchmarks. Everyone, when I was graduating from college, had like a race to the altar. Then there was the race to the baby. Then there was the race to the promotion. Then there was the race to buying a house. And when you have all of those set trajectories that are supposed to happen, at these certain benchmark ages, you don't appreciate the journey of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, you don't.
And part of that, like you said, is that openness to curiosity. Is there a way, if people have really taken those benchmark moments just as they are, is there a way to reintroduce curiosity into your life, even if you feel jaded?
I think it's beautiful. I have a lot of workshops. A lot of courses on my site about it, right? 5 keys to boldly making life happen. One of the first key is curiosity. And then we take you through all of these questions. 7-day challenge, which is free on my site. And I'm not trying to sound salesy, but
no, tell them how do we find that? Wait a minute, hold on, back up. How do we find that 7? What's free?
It's a 7-day challenge to making life happen. And it's a free, you opt into my site and you get it for free, and you get 7 days of
on womenforone.com.
Yes,
on womenforone.com. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that.
Yeah, and the actual first tool is curiosity, and we give you the questions that you need to start moving forward. Because yes, we all get jaded, but we can all tap into our little girl and really open up that beautiful curiosity from when we were younger. And don't you love that? Don't you remember that time when you were a little girl and or a little boy, and just sat there in wonder of the world? We can go back there anytime we want. We just have to have the right questions, Kristin.
It's interesting. I think about what I was like. When I was very small, 4 years old, I was an archaeologist. I was digging up things in my grandparents' backyard, and I was infinitely more curious. Now I still have curiosity. I am curious though about your website. Is there any topic where the ladies went organically that you didn't think they'd ever go?
You mean like in the stories?
Yeah, in the stories.
We've had stories from every different topic that you can ever imagine. I think that the one thing and the reason I wrote the book was a lot of women wrote about not feeling good enough and not feeling ready to make their life happen. So it was all about like trying to get it right and getting stuck in perfectionism. And that's why I wanted to write the book, because it's like, the most creative people in the world are as messy as you can get, right? And so, being stuck in that rigid perfectionism won't allow you to get curious and imagine all the options that you could create for this, embodying limitless possibility in your life, which is one of my tools. So if you can't get curious, you can't envision what you really need in your life to move forward. It's just fascinating to be caught in that perfectionism that we as women usually get caught in.
That's a good point. And a lot of times it's in the subconscious. So I feel like that this process in your book takes someone, and correct me if I'm wrong, out of that subconscious way of thinking, out of that, routine type of redundance, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Of over and over and trying to yank them out of it. But it's a process, right? I mean, it's not like you just read a few of these tools and then you go home and you're changed forever. It's a process.
No, it's good to practice this process with small situations, because as you do them, I mean, I'm not creating this from scratch. I've learned this from the thousands of women that I've spoken to and that have shared their stories. And also, there are actually 7 sacred principles in the world that actually run through many religious philosophies and spiritual philosophies. I mean, it's fascinating that I wrote this because I didn't mean to do that. But, my favorite tool that I wanted to talk about was choice, because I feel like a lot of us are stuck as women in our circumstances and feel like a victim of our circumstances. And I really want people to move into self-responsibility and owning where they are with their story and their life so that they can move forward and be free.
Kristin, did you have something? I think I cut you off last time.
No, my jaw is just dropped again.
You're absorbing. I can feel it.
I'm absorbing. I'm actively absorbing. It's so compelling because sometimes you have to reteach yourself over and over and over again until you really master the skill. And I think speaking to that subconscious programming that Judy was alluding to, there's that old phrase, curiosity killed the cat. Well, if you like cats, you don't want to be killed. And I think that's one of the things, we were talking at the conference about women being silent and the silencing of women. And we've had a big news week with the silencing of women over the years. And what do you find when women start articulating their story and being curious about other stories? When people revisit their stories several times, do they peel back layers of what was keeping them down? Is it?
Yeah,
are they constantly rediscovering stuff?
Well, I am, Kristin, because even when I speak, like I was just talking to someone yesterday about this. When I spoke to 300, 400 women about my sexual abuse last year at the International Women's Conference in the Northwest, what happened was, I left there and I went home and I was exhausted, kind of like I was a good exhaustion, like the Spirit of Women Conference. It was amazing, right? But it was just, I was tired and I had another memory come up of another abuse. And I think about that and I think it's one more layer. Like I was ready to feel it. I was ready to experience it. So I think that happens a lot with women.
Wow,
interesting.
Well, I feel like you've been through and done it all. So if it happens with you, and I think that's such a great way to resonate with people too, that you're always discovering, talk about curiosity, you're always discovering new things about yourself. This is fascinating conversation. We could go on and on every time we get on the show like this, Kelly. It's just fantastic. I think you're just teaching such an important part of our evolution and really making women realize, their inner power. I want to let people know before we have to go where they can meet you, because you're having several book signings around the country, right?
I am. I'm very excited. So I start my book tour at Barnes & Noble Union Square on November 2nd at 7 p.m. at Barnes & Noble. I cannot wait for that. That's my official book launch. And then I move to Seattle to a family and friends event that I'm very open to having other people come to as well. And people can contact me for that at info@womenforone.com. And I'd love for people to just go check out the site and see, if they resonate with it. That would be great. Then I moved to Boulder for an event, which is really cool because it's unique. I'm having a panel of men and women discussing the term messy. And I cannot wait for that.
Oh, how fun.
It's to promote my book. I'm being hosted by a woman that supports entrepreneurs, Micah McLaughlin, who's the founder of Wink at Women in Community. So I cannot wait for that. And all of this information is on my site. And then lastly, for this year, I'm going to Tempe, Arizona to Changing Hands Bookstore on November 30th. And I am so excited about that. They're incredible there. They're a great bookstore in Tempe, Arizona near Phoenix. It's all on my site. It's all on our Facebook, the event. So I'd love for people to join me. And it's just exciting because this Moving and Messy isn't about my book as much as it's about women that are, I've had so many women opt in and just cannot wait to talk about getting messy. So cool.
I bet. I mean, the reaction to you at the conference was incredible. So I can just imagine that, and people meeting you in person is going to be really exciting. And for you to open your book tour at the Barnes & Noble on 14th Street, I don't know, people that maybe don't live in New York City don't quite understand what an incredible, really historical place this is. Union Square in New York City. This is a really famous bookstore, and it's the one place that I'd sure pick if I had a book signing.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, really, congratulations. That's really amazing. It's just I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. And Judy, I want to say before I go, I am so impressed by you and what you've created with Spirit of Women Conference. And I want to encourage every single woman that's listening to come on your next Spirit of Women, because those women were all kind and willing and vulnerable. And I just was so inspired by all of them and everyone I came into contact with. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. The rumor is that we're going to maybe be in Texas in the spring, so we're playing with that. And we might be changing the name to Keep Going as well, because a lot of people resonated with that whole mantra of the Keep Going and how they could encourage each other and learn to, just hang in there. And really, that's really what it's all about, right? Is that we're learning and inspiring and creating. So good luck to you, and I can't wait to see that sucker hit #1 on Amazon and New York Times bestseller and everywhere. And you better come back on the show after that. Don't forget about us.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Kelly.
Kristin.
So the founder of womenforone.com, go pre-order her book. It's on Amazon and all over the place. And definitely, go out and meet her if you're in one of those cities that she's having a book signing, because it'll be quite an experience. So, Kristin, we have another angle, another perspective of getting messy. And, if you have already gotten a little too messy, or maybe you want to stay out of the messy parts, this next guest could probably tell you how to do it. What do you think?
I believe that's true. Sue Basko is a lawyer in California, Illinois, and is an attorney and counselor of the United States Supreme Court. She works in law for music, film, design, indie journalism, internet law and business, intellectual property, protest law, and land use planning. She earned a Juris Doctorate, graduating magna cum laude from Southern Illinois University School of Law, and she has worked at Northwestern University School of Law. She has also written for publications such as Crane's Electronic Media, Screen Magazine, and Carbondale Nightlife. She also assisted with a 2012 study conducted by the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, Office of Democratic Institutions and Human Rights. She participated in a summit of many nations in Vienna, Austria, where her legislative proposals regarding independent media use in protests and public assemblies were adopted and sent to the 70-plus member nations. Welcome to the show, Sue.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you because you have expertise in so many areas, and it's inspiring to see a woman forging ahead, arguing in front of the Supreme Court, defending the human rights, and also helping us to have the right to express ourselves, whatever medium it is. So it is an honor to speak with you today. How did you get
I'm
to be you?
I'm happy to be here.
How did you get to be you?
Yeah, you just became a member of the Supreme Court, correct?
Well, yeah, I just got sworn in as a member of the bar, and it was really incredible. And part of
Congratulations.
yeah, thanks. It was just an incredible experience. And part of what made it happen was that the dean from my law school invited me to go. She said she wanted to get me sworn in. And I think this is part of women helping other women. She's a woman, and she asked me, and I just, and others, there was a group of 12 of us. But I think women, through my experience, women can help each other to grow and to have opportunities that we may not be getting otherwise. I mean, I want to say that there have been many men who have helped me, but really my best opportunities have come from women.
Sue, you got to come to our next conference.
Okay, sure.
Because that's what we were talking about pretty much the whole weekend, or one of the things, right, Kristin?
No, it's absolutely true. And you would be a fascinating conversation because you've been involved in so many aspects of the law. What is your favorite part of the law to practice? You have so much experience.
Well, first of all, I went to film school first, and then I worked doing whatever I could and put myself out there. So I did direct and produce a lot of many low budget, productions, and that was really
this
great.
Is before
experience.
You got into law?
Yes. But what I found was that I needed contracts and things, and I needed to know the law to do what I was doing. And so I was sort of doing it anyway. And then I thought, well, you know what? I always wanted to go to law school. And then I got to the point in my life where, I'm a mom and my child was in college, and I was able to do it. So I did. I went to law school, and it was a really interesting experience. And then I went to graduate school after that in digital production more, and because the thing is, it all, to me, these things all sort of feed together. So my areas of the law have to do with what I already was doing, which is journalism, television, video, film, and of course then the protest law comes in too, just because that's like something I believe in. That's like your First Amendment rights.
Now back up. It's not that easy. You had a child. I don't know how old he or she was, and then you went to law school and you were directing TV shows. But not yet. Not while I did not work at all when I was in law school. That law school is really a full-time job. Yeah,
and
I guess.
For me, it really is. And it was day and night. It's 3 years of your life that you spend all day, all evening, all weekend doing the coursework and doing the reading and going to like things that they have on the evenings and weekends. And when I was going to law school, I had it, as a goal that I wanted to finish near the top of my class. I had this, goal that I wasn't going to let go of. So I went the extra mile, was often in the library, till 3 a.m. working on things. But it was really worth it, and I met my goal, So yeah,
How old was did you have one child, or how old was your kid?
I did. Well, he was in college at the time.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
A little bit easier than having young kids.
Oh yeah, he was gone. He was like in a different state, going off, in college. Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's very different. I think I've heard of women going to law school when they have children, and certainly the law school I went to, there were plenty of women who had children. There was even some women who had like around 5 or 6 kids, and I don't know how they do it really, but they.
I don't know how you have 5 or 6 kids and do anything else, but I'm wondering what was I going to ask you? I just got distracted with the 5 or 6 kids. Oh, I wanted to go back to the messy thing. Now, we joke about getting messy and this and that and getting out of it. What are some of the messiest cases you've had to deal with?
Oh my goodness.
Just pick from a million.
Oh my goodness. I don't even know. I mean, there's this ethics about not talking about things, but I have helped people who, oh my goodness. One of the messiest things is people who get themselves in trouble with the law. And the number of the people that I've assisted have been in trouble with computer law, like hacking or doing other things on the computer. And I've assisted these people. I'm not a criminal lawyer, so I didn't do that. But people who have gotten into that whole milieu and then coupled with that several times have been people who also have some sort of problems, such as either mental illness or like brain disorders. One had a traumatic brain injury, and these types of things. It's just very, very, very complicated to help somebody like that. But that's something I have done strictly voluntary and really to help people, and mostly to help people get the help that they need. To just get, when nobody else will help. A couple people have said that people come to me when nobody else will help them. And that's really true. I write blogs, and a lot of blogs. My blogs get really a lot of hits. And one of the things I've written about is cyber stalking. And so I get emails at least once a week from somebody who says that this or that, like, strange thing is happening to them, like they're being cyber stalked in some bizarre way. And I email with them. I let them email me, and I try to decipher: is it something that's actually happening, or does this person really just need to go to a doctor because they're imagining things or they're believing things are happening? And this can range from, for example, somebody who believes that they're being spied on through their phone or their computer, and in the old days, that might have seemed outlandish, but nowadays that actually happens. And there have been a number of cases of people who are spying, like using malware, spying on women through their computers and spying on, dozens of them throughout the world at the same time, downloading their pictures. There was one woman who thought that her ex, but she knew her ex was somehow getting information on her, and probably through her phone, through malware, being able to listen in. He was disrupting her business, stuff. So that kind of thing. That stuff is very strange and messy. But I don't know. I don't know what to say. That's pretty tricky.
I'm stuck on the malware that people can. I mean, this sounds so naive, I guess, to you, but people can actually get into my computer and see me.
Yes, and there have been several huge cases involving this. There's a man in California named Jared Abrams, and if you look him up, you'll see he got arrested. They do it by phishing. So they'll often send an email and then get you to click on something, and it downloads the malware that allows them to operate your camera and your microphone. So he was spying on women throughout the world, okay, and often seeing them naked because they had their computers up or whatever in their bedroom, and you're coming out of their shower. And he only got caught because he had finally was doing this to some girl who had been like Miss Teen USA or something like this. Because before that, maybe everyone else got ignored when they went to the police, as so often happens. Women will have these complaints, they'll go to the authorities, and they just get ignored. But because this particular victim of his was so famous, and he had actually, I believe he had gone to high school with her, and so she actually knew who he was. But anyway, he got arrested, but there are numbers of these people, quite a few of them. And then there's also a form of malware that's riding on people's phones that comes in through some apps So, there's a lot of this. There's also been a great number, or a good number, let's say, of people who have hacked into people's phones, their computers, and stolen their pictures. As you know, so many of the, famous people who had on their iCloud, they had naked pictures, and people got them and then put them on the internet. And several people have, been arrested for doing it to usually a good number of people. Once they figure out how to do it, they do it to whole bunches of people, and it becomes almost like an obsession for them. So if you pay, that's another area of the law I pay attention to. I'm not a criminal lawyer. It just happens to be something people have contacted me about, saying this thing is happening to me, and what can I do? And I just basically can just rattle off to them who they can report it to, and and how they can get good help. There are some people just don't even know, or they want sometimes assurance. I can't tell them, is that actually happening? Usually it's if it sounds like it is, of course and even if it doesn't sound like it is, I'll say make an FBI report. Let them look
you
at
have
your
to
phone,
reroute them.
let them look at let them look at your computer. Let them go through your phone. Let them see if there's malware.
Exactly.
On it.
Let them handle it. And that's why you're here. You primarily deal with the entertainment industry then, and contracts and things like that.
Yes, that trademark, copyright, those are really important fields. When women are starting businesses, I also will write the terms of service and use for websites. Help people realize if the name that they're wanting to call their company or call their thing, if it looks like it would be a valid trademark, helping them get that trademark.
I have a question for you.
Thank you. Yeah,
I know
sure.
that, we always are coming up with ideas. Kristin, I know you're coming up with screenplays and ideas, I'm sure, for, movies and all that. I was told when I was much younger, when, I didn't really have any money, and I was starting to get into writing TV shows and that type of thing, that they said if you just mail it to yourself and seal it and stamp it, that was one way of having a type of copyright. Is that true?
No, it really isn't. And that's a weird rumor. That might be a way, not a very valid way to try to prove the date of your creation, but you really don't have any protection. And I really say this is very true. So there is copyright, theoretical copyright, that attaches when you put something something that is creative and original, and you put it into tangible form, like write it.
Right.
Or record it or something. It has to be not an idea in your head and not even spoken. It has to be tangible, physical. So
there's a process.
Yes, but there really is no copyright protection unless you register copyright with the U.S. Copyright Office. And they have made this so incredibly easy to do it's copyright.gov. You don't have to go through a lawyer. You don't have to go through any other website. You just go to copyright.gov. And you have to have a little bit of knowledge. They explain a lot on their website. But, I often tell people, just go there, go here, just register it. And it's very easy. It costs $35. You do that with a credit card, and you're uploading, you're choosing the correct category, and then you're just writing your information, which is your basic information, like your name and address and things. And then you're uploading your files, and they accept certain types of files. You have to choose the right category, whether it's performing arts or a sound recording, or, there's about 8 different categories. And then you're uploading a file. So like if you have a screenplay or a ready-made movie, you're going to be uploading that file. You're going to be uploading your doc file or your MP3 or your WAV file for music or whatever you have. They put the list right on there of what they accept. So it's extremely easy to do, and it only costs $35, and it's worth its weight in gold because you can only it's worth protection. You cannot file a lawsuit on copyright until you have registered. And so there's a lot of other things, but once you have it registered, like I do this for several of my clients, like if somebody's violating their copyright, okay, like, and these are often design things, and design often gets violated on, all these websites that print things up, like print up T-shirts and posters and mugs. These things, people go on there and just upload art that isn't theirs, right? So it's really constant. One way that's so easy to get these things removed is you contact them by email and you say, here's a link to my copyright registration. Here it is. And they can see, that you do own this copyright. And it's worth its weight in gold because you don't have to litigate. You don't have to fuss or muss. You just show them it's mine, and it's just magical.
I want to ask you, what is the biggest legal mistake creative personalities make? Is it not protecting the intellectual property? Is it not planning for what happens for their intellectual property if they're incapacitated or pass away? What do you find is the most common mistake?
Wow. I think what I've seen is everyone has a website now, okay? There's so many different things I think people do. I think one of the main ones is not registering copyright on their stuff. And that's a huge thing right there. I think another thing is writing their own contracts or pulling contracts off the internet. Another thing is signing contracts before they have a lawyer look at it. And right. There are many bad contracts out there, and there's many scams, many scams out there on the internet. So, okay, like say you're going to sign a music distribution deal or a music publishing deal with something on the internet that looks flashy, or even a film distribution deal. A lot of these things happen on websites. Well, there's a contract behind all that, and you really better have a lawyer look at it. Some of the things I've seen being offered are absolutely shockingly outlandish, and often they even go with, you don't know what the track record is of this person or organization, or even if there is a person or organization. So I think those are the things, is not doing the pre-work, like signing contracts. Once you sign the contract, or once you pay your money and then you go complaining to a lawyer, it's like, I can't help you. Show me that contract before you sign it. Right, beforehand. And yes, protecting their intellectual property is good. Registering copyrights, registering trademarks, this type of thing. And honestly, I put this in my list that I emailed to you folks earlier. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're starting to, get into trouble is airing their grievances on social media. Like they'll be like, I've seen it over and over again, even with people that I think are very good at what they do. But they'll get in a fight with somebody on a film set or in a music studio or something, and suddenly they're on Facebook dissing that person and going on and
well,
trying
Sue, you
to
have
get
some very emotional people working in the entertainment industry, so I'm sure that's
exactly.
That's a common thing. But you have so many great points and so many things that we can do to protect ourselves, and some of them pretty simple. It sounds like. How can people get a hold of you if they want to ask you questions, or perhaps work with you either in Illinois or California?
I prefer email because I can answer emails and read them at any time of the day or night. And that's the best way to reach me. And the best way is the email I make public, which is Sue Basko, Basko, music @gmail.com. And people are often surprised by how quickly I usually answer my emails and how thoroughly. So, that's the best way. Trying to get me by phone it's almost impossible. So I wouldn't even recommend it. But email, yes.
Okay. And we have about 30 seconds left. Where is that blog that you're talking about with so much great information?
Oh, okay. They can find it at Sue Basko, SUEBASKO.lawyer.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was great to have you, and I learned so much, geez, in the last half hour.
I enjoyed it a lot, and I especially enjoyed listening to Kelly. So inspiring.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. And thank you so much, Kristin, again. And for everyone else, next week we have licensed therapist Greta Yeager on the show. Now, I happen to love when therapists and lawyers and those kind of people come on the show because I get free advice. And it's amazing. So stay with us because a lot of us have the same problems a lot of you do. We're on a roll here with What Women Want. We're bringing you even more fantastic shows in the future. Thank you for supporting us, and good night.
You're listening to What Women Want with Judy Goss, only on LA Talk Radio.